Blog Talk Radio.
Alternative facts.
The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government. At 12:07 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, numerous unidentified objects of unknown intent and unknown origin were detected at high altitudes over multiple locations of Earth's outer space by the National Radio Astronomy Observatory, and these objects are presumed to be some form of controlled aircraft. It is not known if more of these aircraft will arrive, or if they will attempt entering Earth's atmosphere. United States citizens are encouraged to monitor local media outlets, as more updates will follow as information becomes available. The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government. Attacks by the undead have been reported in several states across the country. The dead are rising from their graves and are attacking the human race. At this time, it is expected that more attacks of this nature will occur in several other states in the next few hours. The intent behind their attack is unknown at this time. He has been observed that a bite or exchange of fluids is a method of transmission. This is an extremely dangerous situation if they crave the taste of human flesh. It is not known whether this event will last for hours, days, or even longer. Stay calm, as authorities have been dispatched to deal with these creatures. An all-clear siren will be sounded when this situation is under control. Pacific Standard Time, nor is detected a long-range nuclear missile launcher. This missile is believed to be headed in the direction of all residents within a 400-mile radius of this area should seek a fallout shelter immediately.
Welcome to Within the Chaos with your host, Rodney the Viking Shortridge, co-host, Melinda the Raven Jackson. Want to give a big old shout out to the Facebook paranormal groups that allow us to post our shows on their pages and helping us to get the word out about all of our guests. Also, a shout out to the Connor sisters. Hats off to Misty and Ashley. They are the founders of SOS Sisters of Salem Paranormal Research Society and host of their podcast, Paranormal Party. You can find them on Facebook under Paranormal Party. If anyone would like to speak to Black Diamond Paranormal Society, BDPS, to discuss your paranormal questions or issues, go to our website at blackdiamondps.org or email blackdiamondps@yahoo.com. As always, our services are free.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. You can listen in by calling 516-387-1922, or you can go to the Vibe Radio Network website at blogtalkradio.com/Vibe Radio Network. For deep within the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you for listening to Within the Chaos. My name is Rodney Shortridge, and I'll be your host tonight. along with my beautiful Raven, Melinda Jackson. First off, I'd like to give a shout out to my cousins up in Ohio, Jennifer and Joe Shortridge of 222 Paranormal. If you get a chance, check out their talk show. You can find them on Facebook under 222 Paranormal.
Have your devices just randomly stopped working? Are you having IT trouble? Not to worry, Mead's PC Repair Shop can help. We also offer IT support too, including website hosting. We are now also offering full event management services. To find out more, contact our friendly customer service team who will gladly help in any situation. Just call 276-880-8900, or if you prefer, you can stop by our shop at 1089 St. Clair Street, Oakwood, Virginia, 24631 by appointment only, or by visiting the website at meadspcshop.com for more information. Thank you.
Well, tonight our special guests are the hot and sexy, beautiful Whitney Benson and the handsome love god, Chad Zumwalt. I hope I said that last name right, because I am terrible at it. Whitney is a paranormal investigator, director, producer, and horror gore model. Chad is the lead investigator of NWPH Northwest Phantom Hunters. So, Melinda, how was your week?
Great week. Beautiful temperatures. I'm loving it.
Until tomorrow. And it's supposed to be back down in the 40s.
And then it's supposed to go back up again.
When?
I don't know. We was watching Will and Grace. It was a moment.
What? Because we had like 70-degree weather here today, and that's like fucking heard of.
Yep.
Well, so everything's good?
Everything's great.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm kind of dragging ass. Been dragging ass past couple of days, but I'm ready to get this show on a boat on the road. Damn, see? You don't even know what the fuck I'm saying tonight. Man, I hope they don't hang up on me.
They're still there.
Okay. Well, let me go ahead and click them over. Well, it's my honor to welcome you all, Whitney Benson and Chad Zumwalt. Did I get it right?
It's a tough one. You're talking to me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, I said the Zumwalt. Yeah, Zumwalt. That's a tough one. I do appreciate it.
Because where I'm from, I appreciate that I got it right, because back here where I'm from, we just call you all, some people just whatever we see there, you know. We don't break it down.
I'm used to that, I'm used to that. Call me whatever you want. I guarantee you I've been called worse. I guarantee that much. But now, come on, I gotta tell you that was a very nice thing you said about me. That compliment there in the beginning of the show. Then what was I, a sex god? I've never been called. No, I've never been called a sex god before. That's something new. But anyway, I'm flattered. Kidding around. So how you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Now, are we all live right now? Is Whitney on with us?
I'm here.
Oh, okay, you're being quiet. You're being awfully quiet.
She's like, I'm just listening to you guys talk about your godness.
My godness. Wow. Well, like I said, I've never been called that before, but yeah. Well, no one's given me a compliment in a long time.
Well, I'm secured in my manhood. I can look at a good-looking man and say, "Damn, that's a hot-looking man." But I am straight, and I do like the women, so I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
That's great. I basically have no pride anyway, so it's like, I would say, at least you appreciate greatness, but I'm just not that great. So, anyhow, so, the paranormal stuff, huh? So what are we going to do here? Do you want to hear about what we do, or?
Well, just y'all take turns, I guess, and, tell us a little bit about each of yourselves. I'll get it out in a minute.
Well, I'm going to let Whitney go first.
Oh, great. Thanks.
Yeah, the spotlight's on you.
Well, as from my bio, I don't know who all's read it or looked at it, but pretty much at the age of 10, I became infatuated with horror. Not only that, but I'm from a very small town in Virginia, Lexington, where Stonewall Jackson and Robert E. Lee are both buried. So the cemetery that we have here is very old, and that's kind of where the love for the paranormal for me began, because my father worked there. So I would go there after school, and I would just hang out in the cemetery, and I felt at home. And over time, the kids would be outside playing, and I didn't want to do anything but watch horror movies. I would write my own movies, and I'm using air quotes. And I'll get the neighborhood kids to be in them, and it just kind of grew from there. And both of my parents recognized at that age that somehow, some way, I was going to end up in the industry. I was very connected. I would just be randomly talking to people, and nobody would be there. But as research went back through my family, it would be past relatives who would come and make visits, and it just grew. So that later spun into I started a production company, made my first feature that launched into the horror gore modeling, which then went into other modeling, and horror movies. And then in 2017, Chad and I kind of started teaming up. So we, I don't mind the nice ghost, as I like to call them. Chad and I come from the like mind where we like to pull out the bad. I have 666 and a satanic cross on the back of my leg, so I don't fuck around, and neither does Chad. So we like to go in and play with demonic activities.
Somebody's got to do it, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, yeah. That's where we come in. Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Whitney. I was just.
I was ready to let you take over and.
Well, basically, how I got into this whole thing that sparked this interest. I don't believe in anything unless there's a lot of credible evidence that supports its existence. I mean, I'm not one of those conspiracy theorists, there are conspiracies out there, but there's a lot of there's a lot of overactive imaginations. What got my curiosity where this was concerned is that I worked at a location when I was 16 in a small town, and it was a grocery store that was built. This is no joke. It's not like something out of a horror movie, but it was built on top of a cemetery that they had moved the graves around back in the day when they built this thing, and it had rumors of being haunted. Well, the whole thing of the paranormal it's something I thought about it because there was an incident that happened to a family member of mine that whatever it was, it terrified them so much that it changed their life. And that was like the only thing that that was from the negative side, that if there is something out there, it's not all positive. But anyhow, that kind of relates to why I got into this. But at this point in time, I didn't think a whole lot about it. And I ended up having to work in the store, into the AM by myself. Everybody would leave, they locked me in there, and the freight crew had to let me out at 2 o'clock in the morning. So I was in the store, completely alone, dark, And there's some things that I witnessed in the store that they definitely were iffy at best. I mean, couldn't be explained. Noises, things moving around. There was one incident where I just walked down this one aisle, and I came back 2 minutes later, and there were muddy, bare footprints down it, stuff like that. But what really kind of sealed the deal for me is one time I was back by myself in the back room of the store in the corner, and something it sounded like a woman said, "Hey, you." I mean, I could hear it really clear, and I thought it was somebody that came back in the store, and they were messing around with me. I turned around, there's nobody there, and then I went back doing whatever I was doing. But then the next time I spoke, it screamed into my ear really loud. And that kind of, well, there's something out there. So we just kind of started doing this more like a curiosity thing, me and a bunch of my friends when we were kids. We started going to locations that had a history of being active, basic equipment. We started documenting things. We started actually capturing things that were pretty phenomenal. And it kind of got controversial because a lot of it wasn't positive, and that kind of directed, the nice phenomenon ain't. It's definitely not the exciting phenomenon, and to be honest with you, like there's a lot of deceptions out there. A lot of these entities, they will take whatever approach to whoever they're dealing with. It's like a personalized basis. A lot of times, children, the appearance of they'll manifest as like a child spirit, but it's a deception. And I learned this tactic back before the shows, back before the taunting on TV or anything. I kind of got this idea that, well, the best way to see the intention that something has is to piss it off. That's the best way, because whatever it is, it's gonna give you a hint about what it really wants to do or what its agenda is, and through that method, which is I don't recommend it for a lot of people. I've gotten a lot of flack for going and pissing off the boogeyman, but isn't that the least it deserves? It did. After all, it did menace us as kids in the closet and everything. So getting called a few harsh names, that's the least it deserves, right? But anyhow, yeah, for the last 15 years, primarily just dealing with cases that are considered demonic by everybody involved prior. The real thing, there's a lot of, I know that's kind of the trending thing, at the moment, but it wasn't really trending when I first started doing it. Actually, I didn't tell people I was a ghost hunter. They'd find out, and my coworkers and stuff, and they go, "Hey, I heard you were a ghost hunter," because usually people thought you had dead cats in your freezer, if you were a ghost hunter. It wasn't the norm. But anyway, yeah, throughout the years, dealt with some phenomenal cases, documented some insane activity that I wouldn't have believed it if I would have just witnessed some of these things that I've documented, capturing it on equipment. That's things that you're witnessing and you question what you're actually seeing and hearing and witnessing. But what I've done. Cases that people wouldn't do, and it's been interesting anyhow. And that's what I've been doing for the last 15 years. And about everything. I never say I've seen everything, because about the time you say that, you run into something new. But everything from demonic possession to demonic infestation. Things that are real. Phenomenon that there's no way there's no skepticism there at all. It is, to me, it's interesting. I get a big kick out of it. It's fascinating. It's not just for the thrill, but it's this question that seems to be hanging out there, is that, well, is there anything out there? Is this real? Well, I guarantee it is, and I can also guarantee that we can definitely capture evidence and can continue to capture evidence that nobody can not view as credible. So what's out there? I kind of have the attitude where I go out and capture it, and you be the judge of what exists out there. But anyhow, it ain't nice, Don't my people will ask me, well, what do you suggest? Don't make too good of friends with anything out there, because it's not the safest thing to do. But with all it is, it is what it is, and it's something that this is what I love to do, and it's what Whitney loves to do, and it's not for everybody, I guess. That's, and I know everybody said that has a YouTube channel. Oh, like you watch these people, that a lot of ghost hunters out there. Well, it's not for everybody. I've experienced things that, well, yeah, true, but now that statement is true. It's not for everybody. And I've gone through, I've had a lot of people throughout the years that have been interested and wanted to help me, and they just don't stick around for whatever reason. Imagine that. Huh? I don't know. But anyhow, I don't really know what else to say besides. But one thing has been made very clear, though, today on the show so far. I am some kind of sex god. Is that true? I don't know. Keep hearing that, Man, I've never been complimented like that, It's just, I don't know.
And he get off of that, is he?
No. You made something much more vulgar and insultive sex god. that makes me feel uncomfortable. I mean, the insults don't make me feel uncomfortable. I'm used to that, you know. But something like that, shoot,
uncomfortable. That's sad. Try to be nice.
Well, anyhow, yeah.
You're gonna have to change your name now.
I'm gonna have to. I think, you know. Like,
yeah, you're gonna have to start billing yourself as that.
I'm gonna have to. Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna have to. No wonder I got so many fans. You know, and these things do not. Okay, these types of entities, they definitely. There are things out there that I know don't like me at all. They would definitely have a different opinion. I guarantee it. Yeah, but anyhow, I'm open for questions if anybody wants to ask any question, or me and Wendy got a project that we've been working on for a couple of years now, and it's coming together. But it's gonna be. I know, again, I keep repeating these things that everybody says. A lot of people make claims. I guarantee you, though, what we're doing, no one's done before. Like on when it comes to on television or of that nature, no one's done it like this, like what we're going to do. So, for one thing,
and that's a little bit why we're kind of taking our time with it too, because it's going to be fucking perfect.
Right. Yeah. Something like this. We're basically, we don't have like a time limit on getting things together, and to be honest, we don't really have a whole. Who else? I mean, we're kind of like the only ones that can produce this type of that can put something like this together. There's nobody really out there right now that the interested people or parties that are interested in this field could do it. So when you do that, when you have that, you know, it just can take your time. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be exciting. 2019 is going to be an exciting year. It really is.
Yep.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, how did you
and it's going to be scary. No. Well, I mean, I'd throw that one out there. It's like it's going to actually be like people like these. People kind of burn out. I think not burn out on the paranormal itself. It's a fascinating topic, and will always be a fascinating topic. That doesn't go away. But it's like people are kind of burnt out. I think on the whole, the whole reality aspect of it. And well, you know, that part I think we're going to get down pretty good, because whatever happens to us is the people viewing are going to see. So. Yeah, it's going to be scary. Scary, you know, stuff's going to happen. But anyhow.
Well, how did you two connect?
That's interesting. You know, it's funny how that happened. It didn't. I mean, I just messaged her. Well, I was trying to put this whole thing together, and it's the hardest, the most difficult part about doing this, and I think being in this field, no matter who you are and your outlook is your team. It's like you gotta. I tell you, I've had a lot of people that you need to be able to work well with the people, and you need people that are equally as interested. That's what'll keep it going. And I don't know why. I just hey, bro, this person looks really cool. She might be. You know, she probably won't be, but let's see if she was interested in maybe talking about the possibility of being involved in something like this. And yeah, me and Wendy hit it off, and we work really good together, and yeah, that's what you want in a team, and she's very dedicated, and that's how you get shit done. Oh, can I cuss on this show? Is that okay?
Yeah, we can cuss.
Yeah, you've already passed that.
Well, yeah, I mean, because I've been kind of watching myself. Well, like I was telling Wendy, when I was on Darkness Radio years ago, yeah, you know, I forgot about the FCC thing, so I started, being me, and it's just not a good idea. But I mean, if you have if this is like a show that all ages listen to, I mean, I'll refrain. I mean, I don't want to be too vulgar, but really, it's you got to have. And a sense of humor is very important when you do something like this. You have to kind of make you got to find the humor in a lot of things. I'm just kind of a sick individual, so I see humor and stuff a lot of people don't. But not really, not too sick, but yeah, you definitely you can't be being afraid and leery and things like that. You should be cautious of certain things, but if there are people that are in this field that are very dedicated, I won't name names, and I'm not at all like I've never looked down on anybody for their method of investigating or what they do or produce. But you got people that are very judgmental in this field, but they're afraid of the dark. You can't be afraid of the dark and do this. It's just, well, I mean, that's my opinion.
Sure.
One thing is when I decided to do this, I will literally crawl in the darkest, most evil places on earth and go see what's there, if anything, and go home and sleep at night. And I can do that. I'm scared of stupid shit like bees and stuff like that, you know. But this I'm not scared of. So, yeah, you gotta have an attitude, I guess. I don't know. It's and you have to be fascinated by it. But anyways, I'll go ahead and let somebody else talk because I'm talking too much, I think. Well, I'm waiting. Oh yeah, it's funny. I mean, I can almost hear the crickets right there.
Oh man, you're awesome. I can't wait.
You see the crickets like when I stopped, just like silence. I was like, whoa. So proud of them.
But it was like an instant bond we had from the moment that we started talking, and I am, even as a child, I had a very good sense of things that were going on around me, even as far as the paranormal goes. I not so much as like a medium, but I can go somewhere and I can sense certain things. And that's a benefit as far as I'm concerned, because that does give me the ability to weed out, especially being in the horror industry and the modeling industry and all of that stuff. I get like 50 messages a day just from people that, you know, oh, I want you to be involved in this and this and this. And as you get involved in these conversations, you quickly learn to figure out this person's full of shit. And we knew immediately, we just fed very well off of each other. We have the same passion about it. We're not going into it to look for Casper. That's not what we're in it for.
No, we're not doing that.
So, and I mean, I'm of the sense that, I mean, I have a coffin in my barn. It's nothing for me to go up at 3 a.m. and do a Ouija board session. Like,
does it have a body in it, Whitney? Your coffin does have a body in it? Does it have a body in it, the coffin?
It did at one point.
Oh, it doesn't now? Damn it.
No. I mean, but I have 400 acres, so I can't reveal all my secrets, but
right. No, you don't want to, especially on radio. You know, you don't want to put that on blast. They can't prove anything that way.
But no, there legit was. There was a woman that was in it. She was going to be lowered into the ground, and something. She was a really big woman, and when she was going into the ground, something shifted and broke. So in Virginia, it's a law that you can't like reuse a coffin. So a friend of mine owned a funeral home, and he gave it to me because he knows I have a pretty sick sense of humor.
Well, I mean, stuff like that, items like that, they're cool. It's cool to collect stuff like that. I've got a few interesting things too.
Well, I mean, and you know how I am. I have a huge fascination with serial killers. Like, I'm just a sick, twisted individual. But anyway,
and you know, some people may call it sick, but that stuff is intriguing. You know, there's an intriguing side to all this, a very interesting side to. And
I'm more in it about the psychology more than the actual
right. What makes
process
something like that sick, and it goes hand in hand. Like my personal theory on you know, certain people, serial killers. There's acts that there are activities that are inhuman activities that aren't natural to human beings, and usually when you have there are some serial killers that are just that's their thing, you know. There's nothing, you know, supernatural behind it. But there are cases where that was a factor, you know, definitely a factor, and that the supernatural and the paranormal world affects a lot of different aspects of our world that people aren't even aware of.
Yeah.
I feel. And
I also am. I've been a practicing in witchcraft for probably the past 10 years.
Right.
So I also do a lot of protection spells, a lot of cleansing spells.
Right.
So, I mean, and there's certain ways of going into what Chad and I do there are ways that we can protect ourselves going into it and coming out of it.
And I've used myself as a guinea pig too, like for my own curiosity. Like when I lived by myself, I was more worried about the people I was living with, what would happen if something, because I've had things come back with me that definitely did not have a sense of humor, and that's what I worried about the most. But there was a period of time where I didn't have anybody living with me, and I used my own self as a guinea pig. Like I brought home cursed items and left them in my house, and I, you know, had things follow me home, and you know, just to see what would happen. And you know, it's so like I've done that avenue too. Like some people, is it dangerous to do this? Well, it's definitely not the safest hobby out there. I will say that much. People definitely need to be aware that there are things out there that are dangerous. Oh yeah, definitely. And I think that, you know, and I've dealt with a lot of people that were going to be ghost hunters, and they got, you know, went and they got the equipment, and they went out and they ran into something that wasn't nice, you know, and then, you know, they had some issues from it. But I mean, it's more talked about now, that side of things, but it was like taboo, you know, like I've kind of been a little bit not the most politically correct person when it comes to this field, because I've never I won't ever present something in the way that I believe it to be true. You know, if somebody's going to get themselves into some kind of dangerous situation, I'll tell them, hey, you know, that may not be the best idea. And I don't really let my opinion get involved much. Like I actually am very logical about the advice I give people when it comes to a situation. I compare it to how many other cases similar, and this is what was there. And if you do this, yeah, you might get your Cheerios pooped in, so you don't want to do that. This is a figure of speech, but anyway. But yeah, definitely. This is a very real. This aspect, and I know there's a lot of people that don't believe or they choose not to believe, but it doesn't change anything. There are things out there that are very dangerous, and definitely are looking to do harm to whoever they can. And it's like that makes people feel uncomfortable. I mean, you were almost like I've had people get flat out just insanely upset because I mentioned the fact of the reality that there are demonic spirits out there, without a doubt. I mean, I've witnessed and seen things, documented things that there was no other explanation. I've had things I've dealt, not by choice, but because that's not my department, but I've had experiences with a couple cases of real demonic possession. And when you have this thing talking through this person talking at you about things that, you know, it's identifying itself and talking about what it is to you. It just kind of removes the skepticism at that point. Like, you know, it's an experience that, like, you know, like anybody that doubts that aspect of it, you know, the existence of this phenomenon, it's definitely real. It really is. And I'm not a religious person. Like, I mean, I don't go to church. I don't like going to church. Okay. I mean, I'm everything that I do on a daily basis is either immoral, wrong, or lewd, or something, you know, like that. I don't know. But there are things out there. These phenomena are real. Don't turn off the lights or anything, you know, because that'll do stuff to you in the dark. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking around. But anyway, go ahead.
What I was going to ask is, you know, in your opinion, what is a demon, and you know, what is your experiences other than that with demons?
Well, what is a demon? Well, a demon is something. Okay, in my opinion, and it's based on what I've documented and witnessed. It's an inhuman entity. That it's not human. It never was human. Complete separate being that has a very unhealthy disgust for human beings. I'll put that, a lot of hatred there. It's a very powerful type spirit. And the behavior that demons manifest is different from human beings. Now they can mimic human beings; they do it all the time. But there's a complexity to demons. Like you want to know what if I look at it like it's like from a religious aspect, or is that what you're asking, or just what I feel a demon is?
Well, what do you feel a demon is?
Well, it's an inhuman spirit, an intelligent, a conscious, aware entity, just like we are, but are very intelligent and have been around for a long time. And they're very powerful. And one of their agendas definitely is to inflict harm upon human beings, destroying them in every way possible. Like when a demonic entity will destroy you in ways that, well, not just spiritually, emotionally, physically, and then I mean your life is like the last thing that will be in danger when it's all said and done. I mean, it's just it's unbelievable. Some of the things that I've witnessed. You know, this one guy said one time about demons being that of Hollywood, and well, that's not correct, because there's nothing that's ever been created by Hollywood that even comes close to as nightmarish as what the real deal can do. There are things that are unbelievable, and these phenomena are not super common, but demonic phenomenon itself, it's not as rare as people think. Like I remember there were I guess it was like a chart or something. One in every 250,000 cases. Okay, well, no, that's not true. You don't know what you're dealing with when you go out to a certain location, or if somebody's having a problem personally with an entity. Like people will have trouble with a demonic attachment or demonic infestation, and there's always a reason why that they're there. I guess I'm going into like what they do, but they're not human. They are a very intelligent being that's very aware of what you're doing, and it's not. There's nothing human about them. Like when people say, "Whoa, have you ever been dead? This thing is dead." No, what we're going up against tonight, it's very much alive. So anyway, that's kind of like my outlook on demons, and they're very organized. They always there's hardly ever one. There'll be like an entire like unit of entities that will identify themselves in certain ways, but very non-human. Though it's definitely not a human being.
Okay.
What's a demon, Whitney?
Whitney, I have a question.
Okay.
Okay.
You mentioned that you practice witchcraft. Are you Wiccan or pagan?
I'm Wiccan.
Okay, I'm pagan. I'm just
going
to throw that in there.
Yeah. No, I mean I've always been more earth driven. In that aspect, and I have some very good friends who are pagan. I feel more at power coming from the earth driven part of it. That part of the reason why I live on a 400-acre farm is because if we have a really hard rain or a thunderstorm, it's nothing for me to if things have been building for me, I just kind of go outside, no clothes, and I just kind of plant myself in the ground, and I just let the storm, the rain, whatever, cleanse. And everybody's got their opinions on which way or the other. I mean, I have dabbled in more of the darker side of it. But basically I just like it more for the protection, the full moon, like I'm right out there with my salt going around my house, that kind of thing, or charge my crystals, that kind of stuff. It's not like I could probably be better at it. But when I have a full-time career, then with all of my other projects, I wish I had a lot more time to be more devoted. I'll say that. But I have, in my woods back behind us, like, I can make witches boxes and stuff like that. Like I have a lot of bones and teeth and that kind of stuff that I'll find, skeletons, and I'll, clean them up really good. And, most of the people that in my circle are, they either dabble in witchcraft or they're full on. And I don't really, as far as being Wiccan or pagan, like I can hang with both.
And people have a lot of like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, it's okay.
I was just going to say, people have a lot of misconception, though, don't they, Whitney, about that kind of thing? Like some of these phenomena you're talking about, there's a unexplained element to life, like you're talking about being grounded. Like that's something that is that actually has a scientific effect on people, doesn't it? To be grounded, like some of this stuff is there's a mystery and almost a paranormal element to life. Period. You know that
absolutely,
there's a lot of mystery out there. You know, I mean, I understand people.
Are y'all there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I'm here.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow, that was a really weird noise.
Sorry, I had to pop up.
Oh my God! My God, it's a demon.
See what happens when we all get together?
Yeah, right. Let's just stop talking about this weird shit right now. And
Sorry, my bad.
I mean, but there is a part, like I've been studying a little bit more in kind of the black magic side of the house, and that has intrigued me for a very long time. And I have a lot of really good friends who dabble in that world, voodoo priestesses. So that's something that's held my interest for a really long time. I'm not one to just, jump into it for the sake of it being trendy or whatever. I have down the line, some of my further relatives were full-blown Salem witches.
Watch out.
So that's it's just something that it's literally in my blood. But I was raised as a child. I was forced to go to church. And when I started asking questions about that kind of, here I am at 10 years old, like, well, if how come a 2-year-old child is getting cancer? If God is so good, why is all this going on? And my hands were always smacked for asking those questions.
And that's what makes that kind of thing tragic, really. It does.
And I was like, yeah.
Oh, I went through kind of similar experience. Funny that you say that. Some of the most judgmental, undesirable people I've ever met. To the point to where, when I was a kid, I was kind of same thing. I was kind of had no choice but to go to church, and I didn't have a good experience. It's like, the very, the judgmental part of it. If you want to get judged and treated like crap, go to church. I'm not saying everybody that goes to church is bad. I'm not a judgmental person myself about anything or anyone. But yeah, I was just agreeing with you there, Whitney, about that whole thing, about the whole.
Yeah, and it just really kind of jaded my whole outlook on, if you're asking these questions, you shouldn't be told no, you shouldn't ask those questions. And then at that point, I was just, that's when I really I went home and I was like, Well, I asked my Sunday school teacher or whatever these questions, and I was, had my hand smacked that shouldn't be the way. And then that's when everything started really making sense to me. And my great grandmother, who I spent a lot of time with, that's how I really started finding out about long down the line of where my bloodlines come from. And from that moment, I mean, in some aspects, like a 10-year-old, I watched the very first horror movie I ever watched was A Nightmare on Elm Street, and that was it for me. And in a degree, like, I was never sheltered as far as that stuff goes. My parents never said, no, you can't do that. Like, I made my parents get HBO at the time, was the only, like, service you could get that even showed the real horror movies without them being edited or censored or whatever. And they knew where it was going. But then I don't know if kind of like the going to church thing was their way to feel better about it, or that never really came out. But when I knew when I asked questions and it wasn't right, my hands were getting smacked, and I came home, and I pretty much told my mom and dad at that moment, I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. And that's really where it all started. And people are kind of blown away. Even today, in today's world, it's when I say, at the age of 10, this is where I went, people are just kind of blown away. Like, oh my God, I can't believe your parents let you do this, and da-da-da-da-da. I was an only child. I grew up in a neighborhood where everybody, all the other kids were at least 6 years older than me. So either I was inside watching horror or writing my own screenplays, or I was up in the woods by myself, like just wandering around, or I was out playing, no pun intended, Ghost in the Graveyard, and I was beating the shit out of kids that were way older than me. Like, I was just mean, which is horrible to say that now. But I developed a pretty tough skin young, and that has stuck with me. And I think to be in the industry that I'm in now, doing what Chad and I do, you have to have that thick skin, because you can get your feelings hurt quickly. True. And, if every time anybody has ever seen anything that I've been in, or a picture or whatever, I'm my own worst critic, which is a huge reason why my feature-length film is still in post-production, because I have picked it apart so many times. When it's somebody else's project, it's easy. But, I can see images of myself that I'll get back from shoots or whatever, and I'll just pull myself apart. So you have to learn thick skin pretty quick. And I've always been a loner, which also helps. And I think in that aspect, Chad and I related a lot that way too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So
yeah,
I just went on my own, and I just did my own thing, developed my own way that I wanted to go, and so far we're doing all right. So, but like Chad said, this is going to be a big year. We've got a lot getting ready to start. So
yeah,
the hard work's
down
getting ready to pay off.
That's a hard. I mean, that's these are long processes anyway. I mean, they don't have to be as long, but yeah, I mean, it's one of the things where there's no reason to be in a hurry about it, because and I'm meticulous about things like I have a lot of dedication to what I'm doing, and it's like and if I actually decide to do it, which is what we did, I give it a lot of meticulous, like she said, I'm the same way. I'm hard on myself, like when it comes to everything that I'm doing. because evidence-wise, you know how there's those evidence-hungry people, like, oh yeah, that was this and that said this, and no, if it's at all possible that if there's a slight chance it's not something that's paranormal. I know a lot of people say this, but I've dismissed a lot of things that were paranormal. I know, but just the slightest could be, because you know there's a lot of misguidance, I think, in this field too, and yeah, asking questions, like, that's the problem is people don't. You know, you get punished for asking questions, or it's taboo to ask questions, kind of like what Whitney was talking about. No, there's nothing wrong with asking questions. That's how you discover things, and that's how you figure out what's real, what's not. Is you investigate and you explore those options. And a lot of people they have preconceived ideas about the pagan witchcraft thing, preconceived ideas about it. There's you shouldn't ever label something being a certain way until you understand it, you know, and that's really, really important. But yeah, there's the whole Christian thing, very similar. Yeah, I'm not like I said, I'm not looking down on people that are Christians, but if they believe in that kind of a belief system, they sure do manifest things that go against it, you know, if that makes sense. Because I've studied a lot of. I had to study different aspects of certain religions because, you know, this does go hand in hand. You know, because there's always going to be the questions that get back to, you know, that you can't keep religion out of it. It never can. And I've had a lot of debates with people that were judgmental based on the Christian belief that were total and complete hypocrites, like going against what they claim that they've dedicated, you know, their entire life to believing. So I don't know. I guess there's a lot of people out there, I guess, that are full of crap, I think, you know, basically. And you know, and there's a lot of them, no shortage of them, but yeah, you can't be sensitive. You're right. When you cannot be sensitive, like nothing really gets underneath my skin. Same way. You know, people yeah, my feelings aren't very hard to hurt, but yeah, you can't be sensitive, and a lot of people are sensitive. Notice that in this field, they're real sensitive. Somebody questions somebody's evidence, and they're never investigating again. What, really? Well, the whole people got this backwards. It's like I've always had this open where like people that were curious that come along with me if they were skeptical. You know, people. I love skeptics. I love them because their point of view is interesting, but there's very few skeptics, like true skeptics out there. Like a lot of skeptics are trying to convince themselves more than anybody that this isn't real because they don't feel comfortable with this whole with certain aspects of the paranormal or even the paranormal period, that there's not this whole separate world that they don't understand. And yeah, you know, I never had that ability just to convince myself that things don't exist because they made me feel uncomfortable. I don't have that ability. I mean, it'd be great. Wouldn't it just be like butthurt by something and just make it go away, you know, because you tell yourself, oh, it's not real. But, you know, there's a lot of sensitivity out there. And, you know, it's that actually that's not a healthy thing. I mean, we're witnessing a lot of that right now in the world where people you can't even give your opinion on things, you know, right now. It's like a hate crime or something, isn't it, to like give somebody your opinion these days? I don't know. I'm kidding about that, but it's a sad deal, you know. Yeah, you should be able to question things and you should not be punished for it. That's for sure. And you know, have an open mind to what's out there.
Well, you sent me a couple of clips of the EVPs or situations that's going on. The one for the demon house. Do you want me to go ahead and play that, or you set it up?
You can play either one. That was a phenomenon that was in a house that somebody I knew had lived there as a child, and there were some major issues. There was something dark there, and it was a good example of these things throwing fits, you know, because these entities they do react to irritation. There's certain things that irritate them, and the amount of power that these things have, you know, is kind of interesting. And that clip is an example. Nobody was in the house when that went on, and I could hear 200 yards away. I could hear that thing knock the door down, and you know, throw a tizzy. And it's funny because dealing with demons is like dealing with 2-year-olds on steroids. You know, like they got a short fuse, and if they feel insulted or if they feel that you're invading their space, and knowing it. See, no, it's irritating to an entity like that if you know what it is and you're still going to push the envelope. Oh, I just gave our secret away, Whitney. Uh-oh. Now everybody knows how to get this kind of stuff. No kidding. No, it's really true. I mean, my goal is to go in and stir up whatever's there. To get on its nerves. That's what I do. And then, but there's a method to the madness, though. There's people that shouldn't do this because some people go in, they piss something off, and they take off. And if there's other people that can be affected by it, that's not a responsible thing to do. But in this case, no one was living there, and this thing, like I said, it just didn't have a sense of humor. But yeah, you can play that clip if you like. That's a good clip. I mean, it kind of manifests how much power some of these things have. I've seen things when they aggressively manifested. I mean, the amount of force that they're moving objects with. It's pretty kind of interesting to say the least that there's stuff up there. And this thing that you're about ready to listen to, it presented itself as a little girl. That's how it manifested at first, and it don't sound like a little girl though. And once it got irritated. Anyway, go ahead. You can play that if you like.
Okay, so there wasn't nobody in there when that happened?
Oh, no. We were about 150 yards away in a barn. And,
wow.
Some things were going on. That's just one little clip. There's like 4 hours of this thing having a shit fit, in there. It took the piano. There was no piano in there, and it, like, destroyed the piano. I mean, I could hear that from the barn also. And this is in the middle of nowhere. There's nobody near there. Actually, it was... two of the people that were with me, they went back to the vehicle because there's something people just kind of get a little bit they lose their nerve when something starts to happen, and they left right at the good time. But the vehicle was like another 100 yards opposite direction of the vehicle out by the road, so I knew where they were. Nobody was in the house. I was watching the house, and I had a feeling that if we got out of there just for a minute, that it would do something, and it did. Yeah, it threw a. It wasn't happy. But while we were in the house, there were things going on too. Like there was at one point in time, this thing walks right. I mean, you can hear the heaviness of its footsteps. It comes up and it's stomped on the ground, like on the floor, right in between us. And then when I went upstairs, I was sitting there at the top of the stairs, and something was coming up the stairs, and it was like you could hear like something was scratching the wall, like dragging like it sounded like fingernails and stuff, and just it was really active. And there are also other noises, like there was this little girl that we didn't pick. Well, we picked up the little girl at the very end. I was coming down the stairs. I went up to got the audio device, and when I went upstairs, one of the doors was off the hinge on the floor, and there was a chest of drawers that was in the middle of the room, and it was all the way against the wall with so much force that it knocked a hole into the wall. And I was like, wow, is it just me? Is this has the is this thing rearranged up here? I knew that something had happened because I heard it from the barn. But grabbed the recorder, and as I was coming down the stairs, it sounded like a little girl singing. And the guy that was with me heard it too. And then we went down, and the piano was sitting right there. And the piano, like the keys started, it looked like somebody pushing them like right in front of us. So it was pretty active. And then I guess like there was a lot of that went on in that house. Like when they lived there, they couldn't even go upstairs because the upstairs was the active part. Nightly, something would rip the blankets off their beds violently and stuff like that. And I think that there was somebody that was, doing something pretty dark in there. One of their family members that could have brought that thing in there. But anyhow, definitely, like I said, definitely did not find the humor in what we were doing. But yeah, that's an example of the force, huh?
Yeah, it didn't sound like they were happy.
Oh no. No, it's definitely a little bit upset there. But yeah,
Now
there's power. Like not all these entities have. Some are more powerful than others. They're not. If they are allowed to, they're all bad news. But like that thing had some power behind it a little bit. You know, it definitely wasn't a child spirit, but it gave that it manifested like that at first as a deceptionary thing. The people also that went in there and were telling me about it, they had a recording of themselves going in there, and they were calling out this girl because they remember being a girl. They're calling out to it, and the girl answered them. They have it on audio, like disembodied voice, like so. It was definitely it was playing that role, but it did not act like that when I was there. And usually, if they don't, if they're wasting their time by trying to put that kind of image forward, they won't do it. So, like, usually, like, if somebody's dealing with something that's coming across as a benign spirit or human spirit like that, when I come in there, if they get a hold of me, it'll act completely different. Like, it'll act in ways that they hadn't seen it act before. And it's because I don't buy into that most of the time, what it appears to be, because there's usually a malicious motive there behind that.
Hmm. Well, this next clip, do you want to set it up? The one that says "Wolf, all hell breaks loose."
Oh, sure, yeah, that was a good one actually. As well, that piece of evidence, there was a location that I'd been interested in investigating for quite a few years, and it had a history. It was the remnants of an old town that everyone there abandoned it back in the the early 1900s, and there's kind of a mystery about why they abandoned it. And it kind of and it's one of those things that you can't really find a lot of history on it. And usually, like, I've found that if you've got a location that has very little documentation on it, when something happens that is a little bit on the unexplained, it's a little bit taboo, or it's unexplained, or kind of scary to some people, they don't document much on it. Like, you can't find much history. It's like you kind of want to make it disappear. Like, oh well, that was kind of weird. We just won't keep much evidence on this one here, or documentation. But it was like that with this location. The name of the town was Liberty Bond. And how I got interested in it was there were some loggers that were logging up in the wilderness above this town called Appleton. By the way, Appleton's where that house was with the clip we just listened to. So the whole area has got it's an active area. The entire mountain there, and it's crazy. Like, people move up there and they spend time up there. They're all afraid of the dark. Nobody stays up there. It's crazy. It's a weird place. But anyway, the loggers are logged to a certain point, and for whatever reason, they left all their equipment up there on site and wouldn't go back up and get it. They had to send other people back up to get like a couple $1 million worth of equipment. And most of the guys, they wouldn't say anything about what had happened. But there's one logger that made one statement. This was in the paper. I was looking up the archives, and he made the statement that something evil had chased them away. So I'm like, man, this sounds like my kind of place. Let's go find this place. Well, I couldn't find it for years and years and years, and then one of my buddies happened to know where this place was that was logged all the way up to this. There's like this little cemetery, like out in the middle of these huge like trees. So it, well over 100 years old. And that's what the loggers remember, is logging up to this point where they noticed their tombstones amongst the trees, and they didn't know it was out in the middle of nowhere. They didn't realize that was what was left of the graveyard of the town back in the day. But anyhow, so we were investigating that location, and some things that happened. But you can tell when there's something around, like Whitney was talking about. It's almost like you have instincts. You can tell when there's something there. And there's some things that were going on, like the atmosphere would get abnormally dark. Well, I mean, it was a clear night. You could see everything out there, and all of a sudden it would get so dark that it drown your flashlights out, like supernaturally dark. And there's some things like that happening. So I had the feeling that, hey, if we leave something, I'll just leave this recorder on this tombstone, and let's take a stroll out of here and see what it does. Well, I had said some fairly vulgar things, to it, and I'd been doing this for about an hour, and usually sooner or later, whatever's there is going to get tired of listening to you, and it's going to do something. Well, just as we were leaving, we were going to go back to the car and leave that recorder there for a while. Well, we didn't make it that far anyway. Well, we did, but Yeah, I mean, but we got our show before before we got back there. Anyway, that first noise, that first howl, and as loud as that is in the audio, in real life it was much louder. I mean, it was so loud that you could feel the sound waves going through you. It's like a siren going off behind me, and I hadn't realized. Yeah, I hadn't computed yet that this wasn't some kind of animal or something, of flesh and blood, and and we were up in the middle of nowhere, so I was packing a shotgun because there's like mountain lions and all kinds of stuff. I mean, this is as far out in the middle of nowhere as you can get. Well, I turned around after the initial noise. I'll explain the whole situation a little bit. It ended up not being something of this world, and the way that the entity is manifesting in this clip, it's part of its identity. It's more like a from what I understand, it's a primal spirit. I don't understand the significance of it in different spiritistic beliefs, but whatever it was, it part of its identity was taking on the manifestation of like a wolf, audibly. But it was something else because I shot at this thing, and well, you'll hear it. Well, it wasn't really a thing. It was like a black mass is all I saw. It kind of went in front of me, but it wasn't anything physical. And yeah, you can play the clip, and it kind of speaks for itself. Pretty interesting.
Okay.
I'm hearing more voices. Come on.
Oh, wait, hang on. Is that the extended version? That's got like me still running my mouth at it.
Don't be a cock tease. All you did is...
Yeah, it's 5 minutes and 23 seconds long.
Oh, 5 minutes. That's not. No, that's not the right one. Well, have you listened to the audio clip? I sent you too much of it then.
Yeah, I listened to it.
That's
I think the last
a minute 50 into that, and then the good part. I mean, that has me saying I say some colorful shit in that one. That's a good example of what I see. Okay, yeah. I mean, you'll get the enemy taunting. Yeah, so this is the kind of stuff I was saying to this thing, and anyway, yeah. You'll wonder why it was a little bit upset. Go ahead. You can play it if you want the whole thing. That's fine.
Okay.
I'm hearing more voices. Come on. Don't be a cock tease. All you did is fucking grab my ass. That's it?
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Sometimes you get more at the library than you do here.
Yeah, man, that bitch puts out.
Yeah. Oh well. All he can do is make winter come sooner, but he can't even do
Here it
that.
comes right here. Here it comes right back. Rolling across my fucking hand.
I don't feel it yet.
Right here in front of me. Any second. What? Oh, it's right by me then. It's freezing my fucking, this whole half my body. Whole half my body's full right here.
I'm feeling on the right side.
Get away from me, fuck.
Yeah, thank you, Fido.
Cold on my hand. Okay, well let's leave this stuff recording here. Okay?
Thank you, Fido.
You hear that kid?
Yeah?
That's fucking crazy.
What is? Oh yeah, because the boogeyman happens about every time. Whoa! Hang on!
Stop. Hang on. Hang on.
I think that's like the end of it for a while, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and it sat for a while, and I went back up and got it. Well, I know what skeptics are going to say, so we'll address that. Number one, not animals, because that gunshot would have scared them away. That whatever that was, they got irritated when I shot. And and we don't have wolves in our area either. Number two, like, and the car starting up, those guys were going to leave me up there. That's how freaked out they were. They were going to leave me up there because I didn't run down the trail. They took off. Like the ground started shaking like there was going to be like you would expect a stampede of something coming toward you. There was nothing there. And it felt like a wall, like cold air hit me, like there's something running past me. And because in that audio clip you can hear it sounds like, I don't know if it sounds like people running past where the audio device would be. The audio device is up on the hill behind me. And anyhow, and then of course the other noises you hear, it sounded like an endless amount of almost like not human but not animal screams. It definitely was. It was very like it had traits of it had that animal characteristic to it, but then you hear the main thing is howling. That's the dominant entity that stands out. So yeah. Anyhow, I guess it was tired of me messing around with it. It didn't like what I was saying. But right before that clip, I didn't know if it had some of the colorful things in it that I said but right before that, I said some pretty colorful stuff to whatever was there, and I was definitely trying to irritate it, and I did succeed in doing that. And in that clip, there's in the beginning I didn't get to explain this part. You hear us talking, and then the one guy goes, "Thank you, Fido," and you hear this thing go, "Oof," like that. Well, we didn't hear that. That was something being a smart ass, barking, because I have this thing I listen for if I'm out in the open, like I was then. Right before something like that happens, all animals or anything from crickets to coyotes to anything will begin to become upset before something like that happens because they know it's coming. And you hear the female voice is asking, "Whoa, what's that?" Because I can hear coyotes way in the distance freaking out, and then you hear me say, "Oh yeah, it's because the boogeyman's coming," like that. And then that's right before that happened. Yeah. Anyhow, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to ask is, with the evidence that you're collecting and your techniques that you all use, how do you all feel about the paranormal groups that the way they do their investigations compared to yourselves?
Oh, well, everybody's got their own way of investigating, and I don't look down on anybody's method, but it's you got to do. I look at it like this, and it isn't about just the evidence. It isn't about just who can get the most shocking whatever. What it's about is getting down to what is out there. That's what it's about, and you use what works. In that case, that worked. The two people that were with me, they kind of got a little traumatized. But we're fishing. It's like hooking a big fish. That's what we came there to do, and I wasn't surprised by it. But it's a good example of just how explosive that activity can be. it can happen like that. Like nothing's going on, and then the thing gets irritated enough to where it does it, and that's an example of that happening. That can happen like that. I don't judge anybody's methods or say they're bad or wrong. There isn't really a wrong way to do it. There's ways. It's not how I would do it, but it doesn't mean it's not under the circumstances. It's not what works the best maybe for them. And some people don't like to use that taunting aspect. They're against it, which is all it's all fun and good. But what we're after, the last thing I worry about is hurting its feelings. That's the last thing. So, it's not my fault they can't take a joke anyway.
Well, what's y'all's... I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What's that?
What I was going to ask is, what's y'all's opinion about so many paranormal TV shows that are on TV? Do you think it's helping or hurting?
Well, oh boy. Okay. Well, no. I don't look down on the people that are on TV. Unfortunately, in this field, a lot of the hate that goes out to people, it's because who's in the spotlight and who's not. The people, I'm not saying they're bad people or they don't know what they're doing or whatever, but some of them are very opinionated, I'll say that, and they're not, they kind of, I feel that some of these people kind of lost, what got them into this, this whole thing. There's a they're not educating, I feel, people properly on some of the aspects of this. Like, I won't name names, but there's one show that's been airing forever that, nothing's ever a big deal. Kind of the one that started this all, the one on Sci-Fi. How, this is here, but I don't think it's a big deal. You got nothing to worry about. Well, how the hell do you know that anyway, dude? You've been there for 2 hours, and, you should never tell somebody that something's okay, that this doesn't mean you harm or whatever else. You don't know. You haven't possibly been there long enough to know. And to me, that's kind of, some of these shows kind of sugarcoat, this whole thing that there's no baddies out there and everything's okay. Well, that thing up in the woods up there, that thing definitely was not, that thing did not, it definitely had bad intentions. I guarantee that. Not happy. But there's stuff like that out there, and there are some people that they say that stuff like that doesn't exist. Well, I kind of disagree with that a little bit, but yeah, there are people that the show. Some of the people on the shows are very opinionated, and they are everything's a competition in the wrong sense. In other words, there are people out there that, they wouldn't want me being on TV because nobody would watch their show anymore. That's the bottom line. That's not what I'm out to do. But the fact of the matter is, there are people out there that are curious about what's out there, and some of it's scary. What's your opinion, Winnie, on all that?
What, my opinion or Brittany's opinion?
Whitney's. What does Whitney think? And yours, everybody's.
Well, I think like for what we're going to be doing, first and foremost, like we aren't going to a location for a span of 6 hours. We're going to a location when everything gets started. We're going for several days. We're not just going to go, because who's to say that we don't go in one night and it's lit, and then we can go back the next night and there's nothing. I feel like 6 hours isn't enough sometimes to do a really reported active location enough justice. So
exactly.
That's something that is going to be different as far as what we're going to be doing, because what is shown now is you only see, you might see like a little bit of research that goes into it as far as, the story behind a location or whatnot, but they're only there for the span of overnight. That's not what we're doing. We're going to be there for several days. My problem, the biggest thing that I have with some of the shows that are on there now is I think that the group can get to be too big. And for me, I have doubt in my mind if I can't see the other person, it like it's Chad and I. If I can't see him visibly, and I'm looking at it as far as like a viewer from watching it on TV, where you have one show where there's like 6 different people. It's just odd where you have someone in a room and all of a sudden, you know, nobody else is being shown, but yet it cuts to a different scene, and then this person's coming back like, oh, I just got scratched. Well, where were all the other people? I want to see everybody else. I want to know that you didn't run in another room and somebody scratched you and you're coming back and making a big deal of it, because I'm looking at it as a viewer. And even before I really, really got deep on this, is I could sit there and watch these shows, and one particular show doesn't go to the extent to actually debunk anything, and that's another pet peeve of mine.
No.
And one of the very first one of the very first successful shows did do that. And also, I'm a believer too. Like Eastern State Penitentiary is one that comes to mind for me. Is that it's? I mean, everybody knows that it is very active, but there's going to be nights where you can go in there and it's crickets, and then there's going to be nights and it's crazy. But on one particular show, like it's like it doesn't matter where they go, it's like the roof is coming off the joint, and I'm like, it's not logical, and that's when I fall into the whole thing of, if I can't see you, how can I believe that you came out of that room with scratches on your neck? It becomes a little bit
right. Yeah, that is so.
I'm going to give you what the people want, kind of thing. There's a little bit of a false sense, and I'm one who will stick with something. I'll give it a fair shot. You know, I'll go with it for a couple of seasons and see how this goes, because there's always room for improvement and things can change.
Exactly.
But as someone who has had this passion about the paranormal for so long, that just really jaded a lot for me. And I think that when you're doing this, I think that you really do need to keep your group tight and small, and I think you should always be in everybody's sight at one time, because that leaves just it could be an inch of doubt for somebody looking at it from the outside.
Yeah, there's a lot of good points there, and the comical side, and it is almost comical, some of it. Without a doubt, there's a lot of entertainment factor in these shows, and along with that goes, okay, one thing that just I have to laugh at is these people that are constantly getting possessed. You see these shows. I mean, every investigation, they get possessed. Someone takes them over. Oh, it's okay. It's one of those temporary possessions, so they shook it off and they're fine. You know, or scratches. I've been scratched a couple of times, but these guys are always getting scratched out of sight. Yeah, things like that. You notice that there's certain things that are always happening, constantly, dramatic this, dramatic that. Well, it's very true. These shows, there's a lot of entertainment. They're entertainment. A lot of them are, and absolutely, there without a doubt. You know, they some of these teams have manufactured evidence, and if you know what real activity is like, it's comical. You know, that's the thing, is there's a lot of non-reality in these shows, and a lot of drama. And the thing is, and I understand that it's entertainment and all, but there's an aspect of this field that is equally as intriguing without the theatrical crap, you know, and real activity, without a doubt. Like there's activity that there's no doubt what's going on. And like a couple of pieces there.
It almost gets to a point where it's almost like scripted.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And like then the guy that gets, when they get down to the point to where there's one member of the team that's always getting possessed. Now, okay, first of all, some took me over just for a minute. Well, okay, well, it just, in my, what I've witnessed, possession's kind of a serious thing, and it's not like one of those things you just shake off, but just the drama and the scratches, like I've probably been scratched a couple of times. Once right in front of people, I fucking until I'm burning. I pulled my shirt up, and you could see the marks appear, and then they disappeared, and they reappeared. And then another time I had a burn. I got burns on my hand, and I thought my equipment was shorting out. I didn't think I was suffering anything paranormal. I've seen some paranormal injury that was crazy. Like this one case, this woman was she had what looked like there were bite marks on her that would appear, and they went as far as where the incisors were almost like how you picture a vampire bite, looking the deep puncture wounds, but they would like dissipate quick. Like it was really weird. Another time I had a huge bruise like appear on the back of my calf, and with a lot of paranormal injury, there's not a lot of pain. Like these guys talking about, oh my God, my back, I'm getting sick. I have seen some weird things like with people getting ill, things like that. Like 7 people all at once get ill. There's phenomena like that, but these shows are overdoing the whole scratching thing. Everybody's getting scratched out of sight, right? Out of sight. Everybody's getting scratched on their neck, so they can reach up there and scratch it. It happens, but it's unrealistic betrayal, of the phenomenon. And yeah, it's entertainment. It really is. Yeah, and what we're doing is, our goal is to go into the most active known locations that there are, and unknown. A lot of these locations I've captured crazy activity at are not known, but the way it's like about the Eastern State, those locations are very active, but some of these entities, especially the more sinister ones, they don't waste their time doing things. So they don't always manifest for whatever reason. You got to kind of give them some encouragement to do that, which that's what we're that part we got covered. But yeah, spending time in these locations is very important. Going about it a whole different approach. Spending a significant amount of time at the location, and just really doing some documentation of what's going on and what's in there. And without a doubt, the type of activity that we want to capture, we want. I feel there's a lot of people out there that they're intrigued by this other aspect that isn't talked about a lot. Let's face it, it's scary stuff. The horror industry, right? When it's huge. There's a reason why there's an element of the paranormal that is a huge part of it, because this stuff is scary, and it gets
it kind of goes like hand in hand in the horror industry, because it's like if somebody asked me, what's your favorite horror film? That I can't answer that question. You're going to have to break it down into genres within the horror industry. And there's some people who can handle your classic slasher, Halloween, Friday the 13th. But then you get into some really dark shit, like foreign films, like a Serbian film is one of my favorite films ever.
More realistic, right?
And even a true snuff film, which is very hard to get your hands on, but once you see one, you're never going to not unsee it. So I can run the whole spectrum.
There's stuff out there that's dark. Oh yeah. Well, and something else too, like even the demonic activity, it goes to a level that is completely nightmarish. I mean, there are real things that happen out there that all the joking aside, there are things out there that are unimaginable, that are people being affected by these forces, and it's people want to talk about that part. Like there are famous cases that they did go down, like the famous entity case. They made a movie about it years ago. That case had some aspects to it that were completely nightmarish. Even the actual case of the Haunting in Connecticut movie is based on, not like the movie. There was some aspects to it that were Nightmare doesn't even cover it. There are things that there are things that there's an evil element here that does affect people, and it's not all, like you're saying about Casper. That's not the element of this phenomenon that is really affecting people, and it's just, we can answer some questions for people. I really feel we can, and have a lot of fun doing it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, these people, and two, it would open up an avenue that, as an investigator, Whitney, as an investigator, we wouldn't normally. We're trying to get the means to investigate locations and places here that we wouldn't normally get the chance to. And that's a big part of it too. Not only, it's going to expand our means of investigating. We're going to get to expand that, and in the process, it's going to be really interesting. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Actually, really looking forward to it.
Awesome.
So my question is, what is your opinion about people claiming to have psychic abilities?
What was that?
What is your opinion about people claiming to have psychic abilities?
Well, that's kind of a that's kind of a hard one to answer, because it does exist. Absolutely, real psychic ability does. Are there a lot of people that are frauds out there? Absolutely. Is it always a good thing? Absolutely not. I don't know. In my personal opinion, and which isn't, I try to keep my answers based on what I've experienced, throughout the years with people that have that ability. I've known of cases where whatever was giving them the information, it wasn't a helpful, nice spirit or spirits. It was something that the person was, and these cases are rare. Like the real cases, they're out there. But like in cases where there were people that were communicating with evil spirits, they knew it, and they were actually had this thing going where the spirits would tell them what to say, giving the person the information about whoever they were talking to that they couldn't possibly know. So with that case, proving their power, but in a sinister way, through that, getting their trust, and then encouraging them to do things that would open them up to be potential victims of something dark. There's things like that happening. Then there's cases where missing people are found, where it appears to be really coming from a source that has good intentions. But do I feel it's real? I do. I feel it is. I feel that there's definitely that does exist. And there's also, of course, there's cases of it where it doesn't. But that's a hard one to answer, because, or whether it's bad or good, or it's it's got its different points there. What do you think, Whitney, about that whole thing?
I would agree with what you said. There's just given the people that I know, usually in my experience, a true psychic is someone who is, like, they don't advertise it, so to speak. Kind of like if you are brought into a specific place to try to feel the energy, or if you can see something, but it's not made into like a dog and pony show. And there's ones I think that are out there that have the true ability and are very gifted at it, but they are either afraid of it, they don't want anybody to know about it for the reason of being used, so to speak. In my experience, everyone that I've ever known is very quiet about it. And if it's something that is, like if I reach out to someone and that I know that can have that or whatever, I do expect them to come back and give me, whether it's bad or good information. But then there's ones out there who are very flamboyant, and it's all about the show, and they really don't have that gift. And I look at it as a gift. And then there's some people who have it who wish they didn't have it. So I think there's different variations of it. And that's another thing I think that's been on TV a lot that's gotten for the entertainment value. But I do believe they are real, and the ones that are true are the ones that I enjoy the most. So.
Okay.
Yeah, very true. And you'll know the difference too. It's a good point though that you brought up, Whitney, about the real. There's a lot of real cases of that kind of phenomenon that aren't known. I mean, the people that really have it, they're not on TV and of that matter. Like you go back, 100 years even, it was a common thing. Fortune tellers and people, that was like that wasn't taboo. There were places on Main Street and towns everywhere that had, you had a palm reader or a crystal ball reader, but. And they did have powers, and a lot of it, it kind of does go back into the whole thing of it touches in witchcraft for me, because back in the days of Salem and all of that stuff, there were the witches, and I'm using air quotes again, were said that, they brainwashed children and did this kind of thing. And I think, it's always been, people look down upon it, and it goes back so many years because of that reason. And if you have that true ability, you don't want to be vocal about it because, look what happened to the witches in Salem. Right. And they were wrongfully. A lot of that was fanaticism, and that's why you got to have you have to have a balanced outlook on everything. What that was is, heck, back then you could get they would kill you for having a mole on your face that was weird, and everything was the devil, and that's something too that people open themselves up just with their paranoia. I got this theory that if you think that everything is going to lead to the boogeyman getting you, guess what? He's going to try it, sooner or later. Yep. But yeah, there's a lot of not really understanding, their fear, like the witch craze that you're talking about that spread through Europe and all that. There was a lot of things that motivated it, and one was the assets of the individuals that got accused of witchcraft. If they were accused, they got to confiscate their land or their belongings. So there was a lot of motives like that too. But it was a lot of fanaticism, and yeah, of course, yeah, and people are going to look at you very, in a different way. Perhaps it's not, that's not balanced. If you talk a little bit about if you had something like that going on, and what's interesting about that is we all have instincts. I don't feel that I have any of that. I'm really good at analyzing situations, even in the real world. I can read people pretty well, but I don't think it's a supernatural thing. Going into locations, I can tell there's something there that really wants to do you harm, because you get a feeling, and I don't know, I don't really see that as being supernatural or anything out of the ordinary. But there are people that definitely have, they have abilities that not everybody has when it comes to that. And also, I've noticed too that people that have that ability, they're more vulnerable to spirits affecting them. There was one case, the only true attack I'd ever seen, because people talking about violent attacks in the supernatural. Well, I've seen some some violent, manifestations, or like being scratched is considered violent. But the only true assault, or something, assaulted somebody violently that I would definitely consider, or something of that nature, was this individual. Come to find out, they had been, they've been opening themselves up to different spirits. I don't know what all they were doing for sure, but they were, and then I didn't know this at the time. The person was out with us, but whatever was there, she got choked and all kinds of stuff. I mean, to the point where we had to get her out of the location because she almost lost consciousness, and I mean, it was a real deal. But then she said later that she had premonitions and things like that. So, like, what's your opinion when you have, like, when somebody is in union or can communicate with spirits like that? Do you think they're more vulnerable, like, to be affected violently or negatively by things out there?
They can be. I think it's how much they open themselves up.
Right.
Like, I legit, I can get up in the morning and I know, like, I have that feeling. It's something's bad. It's coming today. I can't tell you exactly what, but something bad is going to happen today, and I've never been wrong.
If it cuts me off, I'll call right back in because my phone's like about ready to die. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm just letting you know real quick.
Oh, it's okay.
I'm trying to find.
But I've. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I just had to plug in his phone.
What's that? Did he ask a question?
No, I just said it's time to plug in your phone. Did you say your phone's about to die?
Oh, yeah. I'm frantically looking for the cord here. So, like I said, if I hang up, I didn't really hang up.
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to fuck up the flow. I'm sorry. My bad.
Oh no, you're fine. It's me panicking looking for my phone cord. That's what the flow. But no, I mean, you definitely, without a doubt, I've dealt with some of that where obviously I pissed something off because I've witnessed events where other things happen to me, and not just happen to me, but happen to people that I've been around, like where even like within a certain radius of me that could be affected. Like this one incident I had, I had one of the worst days of my life, that day because for whatever reason. And it ended up being something that followed me back. But not only I had a bad day, my neighbors had a bad day. Their car like burnt to the ground, and like everybody that was around me that day had a messed up day. And it's like there are things that can do that, and it's not like something can, I don't give things power that they don't deserve. Like in other words, like oh shit, I just pissed the wrong thing off. I'm fucked kind of thing. No, I mean, usually stuff like that comes and goes. I got to talk to Whitney a lot about it. I've had some things happen to me that are like the odds are too ridiculous for it to be chance. Like be like winning the lottery every day for a month and a half. That doesn't happen, But just the opposite, like negativity. The worst thing happening at the worst time, and it's definitely I feel that stuff does happen, and like you've experienced some of that, haven't you, Whitney? Like some like just really, really shitty things happen that it's not just coincidence.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that kind of for me it goes a lot back to the Wiccan part of it is, what you put out in the universe is what you're going to get back. But on the same sense of that, though, is that if you're someone that is susceptible to these kind of things, and you open yourself up too much, or there's been times where I've sat here and I'm like, it's been a bad month, and I'm like, what the fuck did I do wrong? And I hadn't done anything wrong. There's something in my realm that is off.
Right. You can do something
it's
right.
Because there's other forces on the outside that are trying to work their way in. And that kind of goes back to that thick skin thing, is that you have to know and recognize when you sat there and you've questioned, it's not like I went out and robbed a bank and murdered 5 people or whatever the case may be. That's not where this bad's coming from. It's because these other forces know what you're capable of and what you have. And
exactly.
That's when they're trying to work themselves into your life in some sort of way. And being able to recognize that is the first thing. And once you can, and you take the measures that need to be taken, that's when it can turn around. And Chad and I have been through this over the past almost 2 years, just working through stuff and getting this right. I mean, there's been times where we've literally sat there and been like, what the fuck? Like, we could go a week and we're like, we've been trying to do our Skype calls and getting our stuff lined up, and it's literally like every day, multiple things going wrong, and we know what's going on the outside. So it's something that you have to work through, and you've got to have patience, and it works itself out eventually, because we're stronger than that. So there's times when I lean on Chad more and vice versa, but together that's where we have a wall, that we're kind of, I won't say indestructible, but it's going to take a hell of a lot to tear what we have going on right now apart, because I think, and that's been a lot. I think things have been really, really trying to, because they know what is getting ready to come out. And these unforeseen forces have been trying to prevent all that from happening. And finally, we're starting to see the light. Things are looking good, and the light is lit. So we're finally starting to see that stuff settle down a little bit.
Yes, we are, and that's one of the things that is so that I just love about you is that the fact is you understand that, because anybody else, it would look like one of us is blowing the other one off, but it's the fact you understand that that all these things are coming up, and that is something that is very, very, very important. And you're actually the first person that understands that aspect of it, and which is a big aspect of it. And there are things, it's almost to the point you can predict it's going to go bad, It doesn't even surprise me anymore. It's just part of the routine. Well, if I'm going to try to do this, this is going to happen. Right. And it happens so often that you can just you count on it. It's like you're not surprised by it at all. And it can be every possible thing. It's ridiculous things will happen, but it'll be aimed towards just keeping you from doing this one thing. It'll be like, wow, what are the chances of that happening? Ridiculous things. Very creative. Whatever else it does, it's pretty damn creative, man. It really gets
props
a lot of effort.
You.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and whatever it does get tired. It does get tired because it's you have to have your mindset that these forces are they have power in certain areas, but the one thing about it is if you're stubborn enough, guess what? It'll realize it's wasting its time. But that's to be expected, I think, and will continue to happen. But see how we're making gains. It's like it ain't working. So which is great that you understand that part, because I used to say this thing. Well, you better eat your Wheaties, I tell you, because you're going to have yourself a struggle. But that's part of the game, part of the real aspect of it. some of these things are never touched on, like from other aspects, a very, very real possibility. I mean, that this is going to happen. These things do happen. But that's awesome that we're on the same page and we can relate to one another where that's concerned. And that's a big support thing there that is unique. I think that's very unique. I mean, I've never dealt with somebody that understood it like you do. So that's very valuable.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Well, that's awesome.
Like I said, homie, you just got to have the attitude that, you know what, I'm not doing it without you, so that's just the way it goes. You're stuck. You're stuck with me. So
exactly. That's literally what we say. Like because we talk every single day, and it's like, okay, well, doesn't matter. One's not going without the other. So it's
exactly.
It's almost like a running joke, almost like what's it going to be today? What's going to be the crisis that we have?
But you got to have the attitude. You don't go, I don't go, kind of thing. And that's part of being a team right there.
Mhm. Well, I got we're just about out of time, but I'm going to ask you, what's y'all's plans for the rest of 2019? Anything that y'all could talk about, and also if y'all got website, Facebook, or anything that you'd like for anybody to go look at or go purchase your movies, books, or anything like that, go ahead and give all that info out.
I haven't written a book yet. Well, first of all, I can't. I'm not that patient, so it's just not that it wouldn't be interesting, but it's just I know that I make a joke about how everybody writes a book, but no, I got Facebook. Expect to be hearing a lot more about what me and Whitney are doing and this project in the near future. It's going to come together definitely within the next several months. We're going to make a lot of gains and put this thing together. Hopefully get it going. Actually, we are going to get it going.
Yeah.
Anybody can find me at just search for Chad Zumwalt, Zumwalt. It's a tough one, remember. Sex, God, whatever. That part isn't going to come up with anything, but except for the Chad Zumwalt part will, or look up NWPH, Northwest Phantom Hunters. That's the name of my old team from a long time ago. We're gonna have something new going on here, a new project here. But and I'm as far as evidence wise, if you look up my name and SoundCloud, there's some pretty interesting audio evidence posted up. The best stuff has not been put out there, but those 2 clips tonight, that's a little taste of some of the stuff that has been documented in the last couple of years, and we're gonna get a lot better than that. This is only gonna get better and more interesting as it goes on. So that's pretty much where you can find me, and or us, I should say, because where I go, you go, homie.
Yep.
So
exactly. Oh gosh, where do I even start for me? The biggest thing for me this year is we're going to start this project. Let's see, tomorrow I filmed it's kind of like it was a thing like Shriekshow, how it was like 3 little shorts put together in one. Over the summer I did one, it's called Harvest of Horrors. The trailer drops for that tomorrow on YouTube. And I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can find me everywhere. So the trailer for that drops tomorrow. I will be at New Jersey Horror Con. I'm booked for that at the end of March. I start filming on Flowers 2, which is a movie by Phil Stevens. If any of you have ever seen the original, it is pretty fucking brutal. So I start filming on that, which is going to be late summer, early fallish. And then we will be at Phantom Fest in November. So,
yeah, there you go. Right on. Yeah, I was going to say we want to talk about that a little bit. Well, yeah, and of course, we'll have we'll have quite a few interesting things to go over, I'm sure, and talk about what we do by that point in time. Looking forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And that's going to be fun.
Well, is that it?
Well, that depends if you're sick of us.
My list is endless between everything that I do. I also do. I'm a podcaster as well for Hollow 9 Network, so I co-host a horror podcast. I'm launching a whole new one, which is based on serial killers, cults, that kind of thing. So I have a 18-year-old kid who's in college. I have my photo shoots. So I'm always doing something. So
and something we got to start. We got to get one started up too, a podcast. I mean, we knew we had to do that.
Sure.
We're going to get something like that up and going if you're still down to do that, Whitney.
Oh, of course.
You want to? We were going to get that launched a while back, and we can in the near future get that going too, and get that all announced.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If you send me a friend request or follow request or whatever, and I don't accept it right away, just shoot me a message. But yeah, I pretty much keep up to date on everything on all of my social media. So, but Chad and I both are super stoked to finally meet you guys in November and talk about what we've been up to between now and then. So.
Yeah, there'll be a lot. We'll have a lot to talk about. That's for sure. And it's thank you very much for having us on the show. Appreciate it. Pleasure. Love to come back anytime and talk if you want to. And thank you. Looking forward to the event later this year, though. Definitely.
Well, awesome. We're looking forward to meeting you all and having a good time. And again, thank you all for coming on the show. Had a blast. And like I said, you're welcome anytime.
Oh, anytime.
Thank
anytime you want, just give me a holler, and I'll be more than down to come back on and annoy you some more. No, but yeah. See, and you can have fun, and that's the thing. It can be a serious thing you're doing and still have fun. Everything's about enjoying what you're doing, and you got to enjoy it, because if you don't enjoy it, then you don't have that drive to do it, and that's really important. But definitely into the whole, enjoy, having fun doing this, and this was a lot of fun. Thank you again for having us.
Oh, you're also welcome.
Wow.
Thank y'all for coming on the show. I mean, nothing but respect for all our paranormal peoples.
Absolutely,
Right
there needs to be more of that. There's not a lot of that. There's a lot of animosity in the field, and there's no reason. I mean, there's no good reason for that. Everybody can have a good time. And heck, you can even agree to disagree. You don't have to get nasty about it. There's a lot of people that do that, but hey, there's going to be that in everything that you do. But yeah, and learning from other people. It's like you can learn a lot from each other. If you kind of are willing to share the information.
Right.
Except for we gave our technique away for pissing demons off. That was like the one piece I wasn't going to tell anybody.
We didn't give it all away.
Foul language.
Yeah, but we didn't give it all away. We still have some. We've got tricks up our sleeve that we didn't give it all away. So.
Oh yeah, well, it's one of those things that you can't just say. You can't really teach somebody. You got to have. It's a mixture of both. You got to have a natural knack for doing this. But anyhow, yeah. But folks, foul language. Remember that. Very important.
I agree 100%.
Okay, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And we'll be talking to you and seeing you soon.
Okay, thanks a lot. Y'all have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, that's it for us tonight. I want to thank Whitney and Chad for coming on the show. Nothing but respect, and you can learn a lot from people like next Thursday night, February 14th, our special guest will be our friends and paranormal investigators Paul Dixon and Tina Williamson. So everyone have a great weekend. Stay safe. Have a good night. Nothing but love. You know what you do, don't you?
Good night, everyone.
Lord mercy. Give me goose pimples. That's it for us tonight. I want to thank everyone that took the time to listen in. I'd like to give a big shout out to the Vibe Radio Network and to Ryan for putting up with us. Also to all the first responders and our men and women in the armed services. Thank you for your service and the sacrifices that you and your families make every day to keep our great nation safe. Tune in next week to another exciting show starting at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everyone can go to our Facebook page Within the Chaos, and don't forget to like our page to see upcoming guests along with past shows, postings, or you can also go to my website at www.blackdiamondps.org or blogtalkradio.com/Vibe Radio Network. Also, we have a YouTube channel, so go to YouTube, look up Within the Chaos for past shows. Thanks again. Until next week, everyone have a safe weekend and have a good night. And love you all. Be careful out there.
I'm sorry. But I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent, and all will be lost. The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world, millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men, machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, You are not cattle. You are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate. Only the unloved hate. The unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery. Fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power. The power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason. A world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!